the meeting to order. I hereby call this meeting of the Howell Township Council to order. Opening statements, please.
This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by transmitting the notice of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press, the Tri-Town News, and the Star Ledger, by posting it on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements in the Township Municipal Building, and by filing it with the municipal clerk on January 11th, 2022. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. Roll call. Councilman Bonovich is absent this evening. Councilwoman Brennan?
Present.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Present.
And Mayor Berger is absent this evening.
Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for all we've lost throughout the year? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Clark, is there a need to go into executive session this evening?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, we have a variety of issues to talk about, including attorney-client and personnel matters.
May I have a motion to approve? Oh, you have to read the resolution first? I'm sorry, Allison.
That's okay, I'll read the resolution.
Thank you.
Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of this meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12. And whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intends to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 in executive session, whereas at this time the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when the discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of the executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the governing body of the Township of Howell may discuss the items listed below, which are contracts and personnel.
May I have a motion to approve the resolution R22-363?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a
second.
Okay.
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Reconvene the meeting. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance, so we're just going to move on to our next order of business. Before I do so, thank you all for coming. I want to make a couple of introductions. You may see some new faces up here. We have our new council-elect Susan Fisher. We have new council-elect Fred Gazier and new council-elect Ian Adele. Sorry, Ian. You'll be seeing their faces in January. Welcome. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys bring to the table for Howell. And you have a great bunch of professionals to be working with, and Evelyn O'Donnell. And obviously, unfortunately, Suzanne and I will not be here, but this is your new council. So welcome and congratulations. Sheriff Sean Golden is here. Sheriff, thank you for coming. Okay, so our first proclamation, would you like to say a few words, Sheriff, since you're here?
Oh, no, good evening, happy holidays.
Okay. Okay, so while everybody have everybody's attention, we're going to come down to the podium. Please join us as we give our first proclamation. Okay. Sergeant Chris Hill. Hi. Come on up, please. He's going to kill me. Make sure you stand way over there. He's not happy about this, but I felt it was necessary. I've been fortunate to work with Sergeant Chris Hill for the last 4 years. He's the best around. And I felt it was important that we recognize his service to Howell, and I wanted to do it before I left office. It was very important to me to do that. Many of you have worked with Sergeant Hill. Those of you who have not, there's still time. So brace yourselves, because we tried to fit all his accomplishments onto one picture frame. It was kind of difficult, but I'm gonna do it, and he's embarrassed and he's mad, so let me just get on with it. Certificate of Appreciation honoring Sergeant Christopher Hill for years of service to Howell Township. It's presented with gratitude for your many years of dedicated service to the citizens of Howell Township. Sergeant Chris Hill retired 6 years ago with 27 years of law enforcement experience. Prior to retiring, he was a supervisor in charge of the Community Service Bureau of the Howell Township Police Department, which provides law-related educational programs to the school and the community. Sergeant Hill serves as the president of the Howell Police Athletic League and is the current chairman of the National Police Athletics and Activities League. During his law enforcement career, Sergeant Hill was deputized as a United States Marshal, working with the Bureau of Investigations Customs Enforcement, which is ICE, team as member of Violent Gang Task Force. Sergeant Hill, known as a gang expert, has testified before the Senate committee, courts, and several legislative bodies. He currently is heavily involved with the critical incident response team, responding to calls when needed. Sergeant Hill has mostly been tasked with teaching various skills to numerous sectors, both here and abroad. Among these are safety and security techniques and tactical response to threats. Since 2016, Sergeant Hill has been collaborating with the Department of Homeland Security Strategic Recruitment, Diversity, and Inclusion Office on several initiatives, including Youth to Careers in Homeland Security and Cyberspace. This initiative led to several DHS agencies collaborating with the National PAL on related programs that were very successful. Sergeant Hill is a former member of the Monmouth County Emergency Response Team, where he has done executive protection details for numerous dignitaries, celebrities, and other high-profile individuals. Sergeant Hill has volunteered his time with the Children's Defense Fund Black Community Crusade and has been a guest at the White House with Jesse Jackson, Coretta Scott King, Joseph Lowry of the SCLU, Marion Wright Edelman, and many others. In 1993, he was featured on the ABC After School special. Can we have the clip? I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Sponsored by Oprah Winfrey, titled Learning Not to Hurt, which was aired nationally. I should have got a clip. I should have got the clip. He has appeared on several talk shows and taught thousands of kids and adults across the country at various colleges, universities, police academies, and community programs. As president of the Howell Township Police Athletic League, Sergeant Hill developed many programs that feed and educate numerous youths and adults throughout surrounding communities. In 2016, Sergeant Hill started both Monmouth Ocean PAL in New Jersey and DMV PAL, which operates chapters in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, serving thousands of youths across these states. One of the many programs is the Youth Leadership Council, which allows youths to volunteer numerous hours helping those in need and strengthening in their leadership. One more thing that was not mentioned here because we ran out of space and Allison was panicking because she couldn't fit everything on here, is he's a new author. I don't have the book with me. I should have brought it, but he did sign it. You want to tell me what you wrote in my book?
Yes.
No. Anyway, he is an author. If you haven't gotten his book, I think it's #1 on the Amazon. So we take this opportunity to recognize and appreciate Sergeant Hill's tremendous dedication to educating, protecting, and inspiring the youth of our community and beyond. I would like Evelyn and Suzanne to come up and say a few words also, because I want to continue the embarrassment.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Not only has Chris Hill been a staple in our community for our children and our adults and our police force, his family's been a staple in the community as well. He lives by example. He knows what volunteerism means. Everything he does comes from the heart. We're very fortunate to have him. His experience is unparalleled in our community. And with any luck, we'll have him for another 30, 40 years. And at this time, please, Councilwoman Brennan.
I'd be happy to. Thank you very much. I would be completely remiss. While all of these accomplishments are certainly notable and amazing, but to me, what makes Chris Hill absolutely a phenomenal person is the connections that he builds on an individual basis. He has connected with so many families and so many youth in this community. There is an indelible mark that he has left through the power of each connection that he has built. I personally have seen it. My children were so blessed and so fortunate to be under his mentorship through POW, and the experiences and the opportunities that they gained through working with him are unparalleled, and they stick with him, or they stick with them, I should say, both of them. And I have to say, everywhere we go, everything we do, when Chris Hill is a part of it, it's magic, because he knows how to get things done because of the connections that he builds on a human level. It's a personal thing for him. He remembers every name, everybody's affiliation, whatever it is. He knows how everybody is intertwined, and I am so touched and so blessed to have his presence in my life, because he has made a difference in my personal life, just again with his friendship, his compassion, his thoughtfulness, his constant desire to do good for his fellow man. And it is absolutely the most impressive resume that this is lovely, but it's the personal side of Sergeant Chris Hill that I want to commend more than anything else, because that's part of what makes all of this possible. But all of this wouldn't be anything without his heart, and his heart is truly gold. So I thank you, and we are truly blessed in Howell to have Officer or Sergeant Chris Hill be a part of our family. So thank you for all you've ever done.
So the mic is not working, that's okay, because I really don't need one. Before, I always say, everybody says, what are you going to do when you're done, when your term is up? And this is what I want to do. I want to work with Sergeant Chris Hill, and I want to do more stuff for the kids in the community, and he's probably rolling his eyes behind me. You're not getting rid of me that fast. So everyone, I'd like you to say a few words and be nice to me.
Thanks for coming. Have a good night. No, it's easy to do those things that I did because of where I live. Howell Township is a unique place. I am born and raised here, West Farms Road, and one of the things I can say is that the people of the community made it easy because they trust the police department. The police department has a reputation. The sheriff, whenever I ask, he's there. The police department, whenever I ask, is there. The council and the residents, they put their trust in us and law enforcement, and we stood up to the task. So to do these things is easy. I thank everybody here for allowing me the opportunity to work with their kids and their family, because, again, in a community where we're the only community in the country, and I'm the chairman of the board for national PAL around the country, serving over 377 chapters and representing 2 million kids. We're the only chapter in the entire country that has a private-public community partnership, where the law enforcement, the school district, and the council all work together to make our community safe, make our kids safe, make our families safe, but more importantly, stay connected. It doesn't matter what side of the tracks you live on, where you come from, we all are here for the same bond, and Howell made it easy. So I couldn't have done it without everybody in this room, and I didn't do it without everybody in this room. It really goes to my staff. It goes back to Bob Walsh, Rob. Rob was there getting in my way, aggravating me all the time, as you guys know. No, Rob was always there. But again, thank you to everyone. And I can't go without talking to Captain Pilecki back there, because he was there from day one. And as I call him, Shecky was always the guy. If I needed something, I went to him. So it made it easy. Thank you guys for letting me do all this stuff. But again, this award should have every resident in Howell's name on it, not just mine. So thank you.
Sheriff, would you mind coming up and taking a photo with us? Yeah. Come on. Come on, guys. You guys are come on, you're part of the team now.
You set this up, okay.
They like that.
Who you want me? Lay in front here?
You want to sit? Let's go. Oh, look at it.
Oh, look at this guy.
Yeah, how you get down? couple 8x10s, please?
That's okay, I know you gotta go.
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you for everything you do, Chris.
My pleasure.
He's got a Christmas party to go to. Okay, so our next proclamation, Councilwoman O'Donnell is going to present for Wendell Nansen.
I'd like to ask Paul Saya, the President Chairman of the Zoning Board, to come up and accept this proclamation on behalf of Wendell Nansen. I've been fortunate to know Wendell for over 30 years. I will say that his dedication to this town in terms of preservation of farmland, his dedication to farming, to helping fellow farmers, to working with the county and Matt Howard on finding properties to preserve, truly is unparalleled. We have a list, and we've been very fortunate while we work with the county to be able to preserve properties. But in terms of Wendell Nansen, although for 20 years, his term with the zoning board, and even as chair, volunteer, the Preservation Task Force, it extends far beyond those 20 years. For the years prior to that, he was coming to meetings, he was helping fellow farmers, he was looking for ways to preserve, to grow more food, to help those people that needed food. He's the first person that you call when there's a family in need. Whatever crop he has in the field, bushels will go to that family. Sometimes it's the people, the unsung heroes, if you will. Never had to ask him twice. There were times I never had to ask him. He just would show up with things that the people would need. I'm very fortunate to know him not only as a resident of Howell, but as a very good friend. Unfortunately, Wendell's had a serious illness. No longer will be serving as the zoning board chair. Mr. Saya has taken over that line. Paul, if you would. On behalf of the council, I'd like you to give this to Wendell for our undying thankfulness for his true dedication to farming in the township of Howell, for his dedication to us to know that preserving property in Howell is part of our future, and to know how important it is to work with both sides of the fence. Didn't matter what party you came from, didn't matter where your farm was, Wendell was there to help. So I ask you to give this to Wendell with our undying gratitude and love, and we hope that if he recovers and he's comfortable, we'd love to have him come back and help us once again.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Nansen.
We're going to take a picture there. A little closer there, gentlemen.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Many, many years, please feel free.
You know, I know Mr. Nansen. I hope he's watching, you know, for many, many years. And he's just a generous, you know, non-greedy type of individual, you know. And his heart is always in the right place for all the people in the land and the farmers in Howell Township. And, you know, with Wendell, we had Mr. John Van Noy, who was the steward of the zoning board for so many years, you know, and then Wendell took over that mantra, and he carried the continuity of the zoning board to make sure, working with the organization, you know, that everything was up and above board, according to Hoyle. There's not a better steward than Wendell Nansen as a public servant / a volunteer in this town. So with that, Wendell, congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you, Paul, for accepting that on Wendell's behalf, and we wish him well. So next, we have a couple more proclamations, and I'm going to call up our interim manager, Mr. Joe Clark.
So we're missing somebody. So if Councilman Russo, if you could come up as well. So every December, for council people, for the professionals, it tends to be a little bit bittersweet, especially in election years. We see sort of that it's the cliche in action. One door closes, another door opens. We welcome 3 new council members, but we're forever bidding a fond farewell to some of the people that we've worked with in the past and who we'll miss tremendously. So tonight we wanted to honor them. And we've had these plaques prepared, which I'd like to give to Councilman Russo. Councilman, it was an honor working with you. I will never deny a person a microphone.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. We gave a lot of these out over the years, but it's nice to get one, I got to say. It really is. Serving my community, I think I did a post online a couple of days ago about asking people to volunteer to sign up for boards and committees. And I can say from experience that it is truly an honor of a lifetime. It's difficult, it's tough, it's challenging, time-consuming, stressful, but it is truly the honor of my life. And I learned a ton, and I'll always look back at this time as fond memories, difficult times, tough time. We served during an extremely difficult time, and I'm proud of the service, proud of working with everybody up here. I get a lot of questions about how's retirement going. It's an awkward kind of question. How's the year gone? And the year, like everybody else, is up and downs. My wife got a promotion, actually. Congrats, Amanda. We play more golf, like I was telling you, Joe, and music. We're also having a new baby. Couple of months ago we found out, so this will hang in the baby's room. So thanks again, everybody. Joe, thank you so much. Deputy Mayor, Council, thank you so much. Thank you.
So the second plaque I'd like to present is to Councilwoman Suzanne Brennan. If you could come up and say a few words.
Okay, so while I usually speak off the cuff, I just wanted to try to put some words together earlier. So if you would allow me the moment. It's certainly been an honor to serve my community as a member of this governing body. While there were differences among members, the work of the town was done, and I believe it was done well. I thank you, Deputy Mayor Richmond and Councilwoman O'Donnell, for welcoming me to the dais and for your commitment to this town. The time you have given is measurable and makes a difference. I wish you all the best as you continue to serve our community at the dais and beyond. I also want to say that working with an extraordinary group of talented, intelligent, thoughtful professionals made the job a true pleasure. I want to thank our new interim town manager, Joe Clark, Matt Howard, Paul Novello, Lou Palazzo, Diane Festino, Allison Serrani, and everyone in Howell who works hard to keep our town running. I'm sure I missed some folks, so I certainly apologize, but everybody in this town makes it what it is, and the hard work shows, from the grandiose to the small gestures that we are blessed to hear about in those little emails about a certain little thing that somebody did for a town resident, which is just an amazing blessing. We have phenomenal people working with us. I certainly don't want to forget all of our emergency personnel, our fire, our EMTs, and our police department. They're stellar. Everything that they do it with class, they do it with professionalism, and they do it with heart, and you can't ask for more. I quickly have to thank my family, my husband Tom and my 3 kids, Melissa, Tommy, and Andrew, because they all support me in all of my crazy endeavors, and they also believe in the importance of giving our time to our community. Give our skills, our talents, whatever we can, not just to each other, but to our community as a whole, because it does make a difference. And I love them so much. I'm so proud of them. I also want to recognize all of the community members who volunteer in various ways across the town. You are what makes our town extra special. I also want to thank those who come to our meetings and voice their opinions, suggestions, and even concerns. I implore everyone, all residents, to continue to care and pay attention to what goes on in our town. Be thoughtful about the way you present the information. I hope that going forward, comments will be thoughtful without being politically charged, truthful without twisting or manipulating facts, and constructive without being unnecessarily critical or demeaning. Please be collaborative, helpful, and respectful to everyone who is doing their best to serve. 2023 is around the corner. I look forward to continuing to serve in new ways. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to serve as a councilwoman for a year, and I wish all those who will take their seats at this dais a positive experience along with the courage to do what is right for our town. You have a great team to work with, and together I know Howell will continue to thrive. Best wishes to everyone for a joyful holiday season, a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, and peace, good health, and much happiness in 2023 and always. Thank you.
So that's it. We can get on with the meeting. We have one more. So before I give it to Deputy Mayor Richmond, I just wanted to say to everybody coming in, welcome. We all look forward to working with you. To those of you we've worked with, it's been an honor. It's been one of our privileges. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to maintaining the friendships for years to come. So, Deputy Mayor, we have one for you as well. Please come up, and if you have a couple of words you'd like to share, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
I always have to follow Deputy Mayor, former Deputy Mayor Tommy Russo, and he always has such eloquent words, and he never writes anything down, ever. Right, Tommy? You should, but you don't, so, and Suzanne always speaks so eloquently, so I did write some things down, so I want to make sure I get it all out. I'm not a great public speaker. I get very emotional, and I will probably continue to do that as I speak right now. So, it has been a huge privilege to serve on the town council for the last 4 years, and as your deputy mayor for the last year. I believe I am leaving Howell in a much better place than it was just 4 short years ago. With only a few days left on the council, I'd like to leave you all a message of gratitude and hope. 5 years ago, when I decided to run for the town council, I was a political newcomer. I knew nothing about politics, the players, or how to be a council member. What I did know was how to lead. Being a leader was something that was in my blood, and being a public servant as well. I hope I have represented and served our town proudly. Making tough decisions and being a leader for our community wasn't always easy, but I knew I had what it takes. I was always ready for the challenges that were ahead of me and for Howell. Many decisions we made were very unpopular at times, but the leadership requires making tough decisions. I spent my time in office learning how to compromise and collaborate with professionals, residents, and colleagues, and I am honored to have worked with many of you in delivering for Howell. Didn't have this in here, but Caitlin, Matt, Joe, the council-elect, everyone, of course, for the last 4 years, my running mate Tommy Russo and Suzanne Brennan, Sheriff Sean Golden always have his faith in me, although sometimes he probably wishes I would keep my mouth shut. I apologize for that. And a big mentor of mine, Rob Nicastro, he's helped me getting through some tough times, and if anybody knows how to get through tough times, it's Rob. I have no doubt that we all are here because we want to make a difference in the new incoming council and our new manager, Mr. Clark, that will continue to make that happen. The new council will no doubt face incredibly difficult challenges, but I'm confident they will overcome them and do what's best for Howell. As your deputy mayor, I have had the privilege of attending numerous township events where I have met so many residents and business owners, many who have left long-lasting impressions on me, many of whom will remain friends. Working with so many amazing community leaders has been an honor of a lifetime. I'm extraordinarily grateful for the privilege to have served on the Howell Township Council. I have done my best to serve this town and the council. My achievements were only possible because of my many supporters, friends, and family, especially my children, Victoria and Gary, and my boyfriend, John. They have endured much, much more than anybody should have. And thank you for your support. I love you guys. Thank you to my mom and my family, my friends, and all the members of PAM Nation, continues to grow. Special thanks to those who have helped me through very, very difficult moments that I unnecessarily had to endure as well. As I look back and reflect on my time in office, I wouldn't change a thing. As of January 1st, I may no longer be a council member, but I will continue to be a public servant. I am not sure what the future holds for me politically, but I will continue to serve our community in some capacity. I am truly blessed. It was an honor serving with all of you. Thank you, Howell. God bless and good luck. One more thing, thank you for the beautiful flowers that you guys left Suzanne and I. They're beautiful. I'll take a picture. Come on, Tom. I didn't get any flowers. I'm like, it's mine upside down.
All set.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I got a lot of questions.
That's great.
Okay, everyone, thank you for your patience and being here for that special moment. I appreciate that. Congratulations to the Russos. May I have a motion for the acceptance of minutes of the special meeting of November 14th, 2022?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of November 14th, 2022.
I'll second.
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Yes. May I have a motion for the acceptance of the minutes of the meeting of November 22nd, 2022?
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes.
We'll have to table the minutes of November 22 till the next meeting, because you'll need to abstain.
Oh, I was not
Well, then
there,
you
so
have
we
to-
can't, right, okay, thank you, Allison,
Thank
for
you.
that. Okay. So next, we're going to have the reports of the township officials. Can I start with the interim manager, Mr. Clark? Do you have anything?
I do, very quickly. So our gingerbread house contest happened this past weekend. We had a lot of great entries, so we are looking forward to doing it again next year, bigger and better. The tree lighting at Echo Lake, it was a bit of a wet day, but I would call it a success overall. I think Echo Lake and the pavilion are a very underutilized resource in town, and it was beautiful to see it decorated and with the fire going in the fireplace. So we're looking forward to doing it again next year. And our house contest, the house decoration contest is underway as well. Additional updates, DPW is completed the first pass of leaf collection on December 9th, and they're starting on their second pass. The LED signs at Town Hall and Soldier Memorial, we should have them in the week of December 19th. All of the bottle filling stations here at Town Hall that we obtained the grant for have been installed, and to date, they have eliminated 825 plastic bottles, so that's in about a month. The archery range has been finalized, and now United Bow Hunters of New Jersey is coming in to place targets and get that up and running. DPW has filled 114 potholes, and 128 trees, for Councilwoman O'Donnell, have been removed per the hazardous tree survey. And our employee Cindy Hudak received her certification as a Clean Communities Coordinator, so congratulations to Cindy.
Very nice.
Well done. Mr. Howard?
We're still working on our preserved and open space website. We've added some more GIS maps, so if you haven't taken a look at that, go onto the preserved website, see if you can learn a little bit about some of the open space properties in town. We're also working with our consultant to update the website entirely for the preserved and open space piece, and it's going to be a lot more interactive with different maps and different links to different things. We're actually doing drone footage later this week. Some of our parks that are going to get incorporated into the website, so it's going to be a nice change. On the agenda tonight is a proposal for a redevelopment study for portions of Route 9. This is in the area north of West Farms Road and to an area just north of Casino. It's a bit of an area that has some potential in Route 9, so we want to do some planning, some deeper dive into the planning looks and see what we could do to revitalize the area. If you are a landlord in town, it's that time of the year to renew your landlord registration. Based on all the new landlords we got last year, plus all the registrations in the past, we have about a 20% increase in the number of registrations we're going to be taking in, so we're up to about 1,200. Last year was 1,000, so it's a big increase. Make sure before the end of January to get your registrations in. And last meeting, we adopted the vacant and abandoned property ordinance. We started to do some canvassing to identify the properties that are eventually going to get noticed and be on the registry. Just on the Route 9 corridor and the few properties behind Route 9, we have 26 properties going on to the registry. So we expect that to double, potentially triple for the entire town once we get and looking at some of the other areas. So there's going to be a new focus on those properties and hopefully encourage the owners to do something with them instead of letting them sit vacant. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Caitlin?
Only two minor things. Tonight, you're going to be voting on adopting a new township meeting policy change. That policy change is going to be removing the allowance of council members to extend public comment questions. So right now, our township ordinance caps public comment at 3 minutes. Our township policy extends that to 5 minutes. So in order for meetings to run efficiently, we've modified that township policy to cap at 5 minutes, and that would be effective at future meetings. Additionally, ordinance 2264, which is on for public hearing tonight. Just want to say that we have an application in front of the local finance board, which is tomorrow. So we are unable to move forward on any vote on that application or on that ordinance tonight until that application before the local finance board has concluded. However, and this is for public knowledge as well, we have scheduled a special meeting for Friday, December 16th at 11 a.m. via Zoom, which we will be addressing ordinance 2264 to vote on. We still will be having the public hearing tonight on that ordinance. At that special meeting, we're going to have to move two of our resolutions that are on tonight's meeting, Resolution 22-386 and Resolution 22-387 to that special meeting as well, because they need a majority of votes and we don't have enough members here. So
Okay.
those are my items.
Thank you, Caitlin. Councilwoman O'Donnell, do you have anything to add?
No, is this the time that you were doing the reports, or are you going to move it?
Well, we could do, I know you're changing the agenda going forward for next year, but we're going to continue to do it the way we've always done it. Mr. Clark?
Sure, if
Okay,
that's what you'd
yeah.
like, you can do.
That's what I would like to do.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Evelyn.
Well, with that in mind, I have nothing to report that hasn't already been discussed, but I do want to wish my father a 100th birthday tomorrow. So if Daddy, you happen to be watching, happy 100th birthday.
Councilwoman O'Donnell. I'm sorry, Brennan. I was looking at that one. I apologize, Suzanne.
Thank you. Again, every time I'm up here, I feel like all I do is say thank you, but it's because of the work that everybody's doing that it's necessary. So thank you again for everything that's been going on in the town. I really do appreciate, and I couldn't agree more with what Mr. Clark just said as far as utilizing our parks more. I was at the tree lighting, and while it was wet, it was beautiful. And the work that DPW did to make it such a nice event, and the vendors who were there and stuck it out, I spoke to a good number of them, and they said that it was a good day for them regardless of the weather, that they were pleasantly surprised. So I think that we really do have a winning formula by moving things over there. It's certainly more of a farmer's market-y feel, if there is such a thing. Not that I don't love and appreciate our Route 9 parking lot in front of the building, but I do think that the farmer's market is certainly a welcome addition over to the Echo Lake Park area. So just onward and upward into 2023. Keep doing what you're doing, and just thank you.
Thank you. I really don't have anything. Mr. Clark, is there an update on brush pickup? I know you guys are doing a really good job on social media with updating the residents, but for those that are here, I don't mean to not have you prepared, but I just thought.
So, yeah, I think that they're still working on that, and they're going back on the leaf pickup too. They're starting the second pass on that.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And again, since this is my last meeting, I just want to remember that the Wall of Heroes downstairs, I hope you've all stopped by and I hope you've all seen it. I hope you've all shared it with your family and friends that are in the military, our veterans. I think that's important. It is ongoing. I just recruited 3 more veterans that we just added to the wall. So please continue to do that. Even though I will no longer be here, I'll be keeping my eye out for those veterans who so need to be honored. So that is an initiative of mine that I'm extremely proud of, and I hope it continues to grow. And I have to say thank you to the council and to the professionals who helped me get that done. I take a lot of pride in that, and of course, because how much our veterans mean to me and to Howell. The boards, the commissions, the applications are still out. They are forever fluid. They're always accepted. We never turn away our board of volunteers. We welcome the volunteers. Just to be clear on a couple of things, there is no deadline. We're always accepted, and that's number one. Number two is there are only a certain amount of spaces and spots, vacancies that are on these boards. There are terms. So while I have to say, we have quite a few, this year we're in abundance. We have a nice bench, which is great. I love to see that. I know Councilman Russo always enforces that, puts it on his social media pages. But I need the residents to understand that we don't turn anybody away. We welcome everybody. We'll find somewhere for you to serve. But at this time, there is only a certain amount of terms that are expired that we could appoint, and that'll be the new council's responsibility on reorg, which is January 2nd. So please continue to send in your applications. If you're not sure of what you want to do, they're on our website. You can call one of us, and I always encourage that. Reach out to the council, reach out to our professionals, and we love our volunteers here in Howell. So with that said, I'd like to now open the floor for the hearing of citizens and public comments. Please remember that everybody has 5 minutes to speak. Is there anybody who signed up, Caitlin? And just so everybody knows, if you have not signed up, you are still welcome to come up and speak. Thank you. And please state your name and your address. Mr. Lawrence White.
Good evening, members of the council, staff, citizens. My name's Lawrence White. I live at 15 Run Way. I'm a member of the Green Team here in Howell. First of all, I want to thank the outgoing members for their service. And also welcome the fact that this is a public meeting. I have been frustrated by the fact that the planning and zoning boards have not returned to public or even hybrid meetings. I think it's important that we talk to each other face to face. I have several questions about the agenda this evening. First, Resolution R22-370. public comment rules, letters G, H, and I. I have witnessed and experienced, as an observer, a lack of communication in the public comments section. The fact that people are able to come up and speak but aren't allowed to ask any questions or get any responses from the council in these meetings, I think represents a lack of transparency. A lot of times, things come before the council at these meetings that have already gone through a process, and this is the last stage, this is the last time that anybody from the public can find out about what's going on, or make comments, or even try and influence the council to go another way. And so I'm not objecting to the 5-minute cap, but I am objecting to the fact that there's no opportunity for dialogue in these public comments. And I wish that the council would reconsider that portion of the rules, or table that portion and adopt the rest of it, and reconsider and allow for more dialogue between the citizens of the township and their elected officials. Secondly, R-22-381, Township Manager. I don't know Mr. Clark. His record is short here in the township. I have nothing personal against him, but I'm wondering why there wasn't a search made for this position beyond our interim town manager. I think that it's an important position, especially the way this government is organized in this township, and I think that a thorough and wide search and consideration of several candidates is the proper way to fill this position. R-22-378, Government Efficiency Study. I'd like to know why the departments included in this expenditure to expand the study were not included in the original study. Why are they added now? And what are the projected savings from the results of this study? Is it greater than the cost of the study itself, or up to, what, about $160,000 of research now? But, of course, you can't answer any of those questions for me because of the format currently. R-22-376. What is the state of completion on the development that's being transferred, the fountains at Howell? That is my question. And finally, R-22-385. I'm curious what the larger redevelopment scheme is for Route 9 South that this expenditure will inform. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Barbara Dixell, come on up. I don't know, can we? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you all for serving. Let me ask, before I start with this, I need to ask something about the redevelopment plan, if I can. Does your redevelopment plan, Mr. Manager, does that include the vacant land by the villages that was once slated for something else?
No, the area in this study is south, Route 9 South.
Okay, because I need to tell you, you're going to hear it from me, I have official documentation from the state and from Monmouth County that is a flood zone. It is a signed flood zone. That's why they can't build anything there. They couldn't get egress or ingress, and I have the documentation signed. It's a flood zone. I watch that very carefully. Because if anything is built there, the villages will be destroyed. They dug up all the trees anyway, but if they go further, the homes will flood and nobody will be able to live there. Okay, also, all right, so that was the redevelopment study. That gentleman asked a lot of questions that I was going to ask about. council, if Mr. Clark is the manager, will be appointed the manager, which is good news, who is the attorney? Or has that been done yet?
Oh, Mr. Clark, would you please mind addressing that?
So currently, Ms. Harney is serving as the interim township attorney. Thereafter, we would probably seek to fill the position internally because in a town this size, it's far more efficient to have a full-time attorney on staff.
So you're going to appoint from in-house?
No, I said we would probably search, so we'll
Okay.
accept resumes and we'll look.
Okay. All right, well, I guess the other gentleman asked a whole bunch of questions, so I'm gonna, let me see, this, hang on a second. All right, you know what, I'll hang out until the ordinances, because I have some questions to ask about that. The other gentleman asked a bunch of questions, but I will say also, I will totally agree with him and whoever else. The planning board and the zoning board has to go public. I don't know what they're hiding from. I don't know what they don't want people to talk about. Residents who want to get up and talk about, they've been told to sit down and that they can't speak now because that comes from the legal end of it. As a council, as a government, you people have to address this. This is a public town. It's not a town behind closed doors where the applications and the applicants and the lawyers get a chance to do anything they need, and the citizens of this town don't get a chance to talk. It's got to change. This is public, the planning board is public, the zoning board is public. It's got to change, and that's the message for the new council. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up and speak? Can I have a motion to close public comment?
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second?
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor
Yes.
Richmond?
So before we vote on the consent agenda, I'd like to pull out and vote separately for Resolution R-22-381. Got that, Allison?
Yes, Deputy
Okay,
Mayor.
thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion for the resolutions?
I'll make a motion to approve R22 364, to and including R22 385, while remaining to pull out at the deputy mayor's request 381.
Do I have a second?
Second that motion?
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Yes. Okay, so at my request to pull R-22-381, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move,
Explain it maybe before you vote on it?
Yeah, we will. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to move Resolution R-22-381.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Is there any conversation?
Absolutely, I'm happy to start if that's
Go
okay.
ahead. Go right ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Since Mr. Clark has taken the seat as interim manager, he has been diligent in his efforts to gain even more knowledge about our town, if that's even possible. I have worked with him I've had multiple conversations about various projects. I've worked with him on various projects, and his professionalism is unparalleled. He's got a team around him that he works well with. I can't imagine anybody more well-suited for this position. To bring somebody in from the outside, I think would be detrimental to our town. Because it is such a complicated town with so many matters that are in the hopper, if you will, right now, I think it would be hugely beneficial to keep Mr. Clark in his position if he is so inclined to accept the position going forward, because he does have the qualifications, the skill set, and all of the knowledge and background that we need in a town manager to keep our town going in a positive direction. The initiatives that he's taken already in the short time that he's been there have been welcomed and appreciated, not only by the residents, but by our council sitting here, by our employees. The feedback that I have heard is nothing but positive. And again, from my personal experience, nothing but wonderful things have gone on. And I appreciate his thirst to continue to learn, to grow, and to serve our community in such a professional way, in such a thoughtful way. The plans that he has for the future certainly are impressive, and I have no doubt that he will accomplish many great things with the team that he has assembled around him. And with him at the helm as our leader, I have great confidence that to do a search would only postpone the inevitable, and I would much rather prefer personally to see us move forward with having Mr. Clark serve as our permanent manager, to give him the legs under him that he needs to continue to move all of the projects that he has going on and to serve our community. So I appreciate all of the efforts, and I thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman O'Donnell, do you have anything to add?
Well, there's always many things to add, but I would just like to remind everyone here tonight that it was just a few short meetings ago that Acting Manager Joe Clark was going over some items that were happening, some things that he was planning to do in the middle of, and had to keep going back to keep adding on and adding on and adding on. And I have to say that it was really delightful because, unfortunately, we have not been accustomed to having someone so proactive for the town. So I think that it's pretty obvious by even the public opinion from that meeting, and even those people that have called me and that were shocked by the amount of things that they were unaware of that's happening, that the public is so happy that we are moving in a direction that's positive, not just for the government and the well-being of the financial end of the township, but bringing in the community as a whole to be sharing in more things. The Halloween, for instance, decorating contest, the things we're doing for Christmas. I think that, I've lived here since I'm 4 years old, and I have to say that I've never felt more a part of a town than I have in the last year with Mr. Clark at the helm. And it's a wonderful feeling for people to call and say, gee, when do I have to have that gingerbread house in? And they're excited to be a part of the town, as well as the calls that you get, how come you haven't picked up my leaves yet? But they're excited to know that things are happening and now they're a part and there's things to look forward to. And, we're going to extend Howell Day for a few days. And the plans that Mr. Clark has made for this town, not only welcomed by the governing body, but residents are excited. And I haven't seen that excitement in a long time. So I'm really proud to be a part of that process. So I say thank you. I hope that this vote is a positive vote. I know how I feel. There are several things that I know that have been listed in the past, and I hope that the deputy mayor will go over them so that everybody is inclined to recall all of those many, many things. But I'm just so happy to live here for many reasons, but particularly happy to be really a communal part and to feel that there's things to look forward to. And I have to say that I'm very thankful to Mr. Clark for making that possible and for a council that accepts those ideas and wants to move forward. So I'll stop talking.
So since this is going to be happening in 2023, I think it's important to have some comments from the new incoming council. So Mr. Gager, would you like anything to add since you've been working with Mr. Clark?
I'd have to say that I 100% support him as our township manager. When the opening arose and we became elected, the first thing I did was take a look at what we need to have in a township manager. And he has been nothing but phenomenal when it comes to dealing with us. And I recall the words that Suzanne used, collaboration, and that is what he does. He's a gentleman, he's well-informed, he listens, and there is no better selection process in my eyes than being an interim manager and performing well while he's doing it. It's like his interview for the job, and he's done well. We all look forward to working with him. We hope to get a lot done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gager. Mr. Nadell?
Well, everyone speaking before me has already touched on everything that Joe Clark has done and how great he is at the job. And the last few weeks and months, and since Election Day, just prepping us for our jobs coming in and just seeing all the inner workings and everything that you do for the town and how it's, you don't stop and just everything, just trying to improve everything in Howell. So this is just, it's a no-brainer decision.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher?
I agree. I understand the residents' concern about putting out a search. However, in this case, we don't have to look too far because we have it in-house. I think people have to remember, too, that Joe Clark was our attorney. So he knows, we have the benefit with Joe of both worlds. Mr. Clark was township attorney, so he knows the legal end of it for our town. And as a resident, just attending the meetings over the past few years, I was impressed. Professional, cares about Howell. You can call him at any time. He has an answer for you. If he doesn't, he'll get back to you. So I really think for, like Mr. Gager said and like Mr. Nadell said, we agree. I understand the residents concerned. Why didn't we put it out for search? We didn't need to. We truly have the best of both worlds with Mr. Clark. I hope we keep him. We also have to remember that if our employees are happy, they're going to run the town very well, and they work for Mr. Clark. And just from what we've seen running this year, and we got the honor really of seeing behind the scenes, our township employees are incredible. I mean, we have Matt Howard, Caitlin, Allison, the other Allison. We've had the pleasure of meeting so many different department heads, Diane. If they're happy to work here, they're going to do well for our township, and I think that's very important. I was a teacher for 32 years, and I had the luck of having a wonderful principal for 20 years. We would do anything for him, and I think we're going to have that with Mr. Clark.
Thank you. You guys really didn't leave much for me to say, and I think I see, Joe, you have a little tear running down your eye. So I thought Chris Hill had a long list, and he's been doing this for how many years? I started writing accomplishments for Mr. Clark, and I asked everybody to add some stuff. So I'm not going to read them all, Joe, because we have a time limit. People want to go home. But I do have a list, and if anybody would like to see this list, I'll be happy to share it. I'll share it on social media, I'll share it in email. You want to have coffee, I'll share it. Sitting up here for 4 years, the last year has been nothing but positive, fun, enjoyable. I sort of feel like I've been gypped for the last 3 years with COVID and a not very active prior manager. But working with Joe Clark makes me almost want to stay up here for a couple more years. He has brought so much to the table. He's actually quite funny. Him and Matt are a great team, and Caitlin's a great addition, the new incoming council. And I know people are not happy that we did not put out a search, but why spend the money? Everybody talks about us spending too much money in responsible fiduciary responsibilities. I think that is one right there, sitting there right across from us. Mr. Clark is everything, I think, any township. I want to be that township when we look at other towns and say, I want a manager like that. We have it. He's right there. And if no one can see that, I'm sorry. We all see it, and we get to vote on it, and we get to keep him around. And I'm very, I talk to a lot of the employees. I'm here a lot. I walk around a lot with Mr. Clark, and I have to tell you, people thank us. People thank us for keeping him around. People thank us for giving him the opportunity to make their jobs easier. They want to come to work. They love being here. And I know that makes you uncomfortable, Joe, but it's really true. I mean, you are the topic of the conversation over the water cooler. Everybody wants to come here. Everybody loves seeing the stuff being done. Everybody loves Joe's fresh ideas. And like I said, Joe, I wish I could work with you for another 4. So, you know how I feel about you. Our search is done. He's sitting there. I hope the future council enjoys working with him as much as I have. But we're neighbors, so I get to see you all the time. Okay, with that said, can we have a vote?
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond.
Absolutely, yes.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Clark. I'd ask you to speak, but I'm kidding. You'll have your moment. Okay. Adoptions of ordinances. Allison?
Would you like me to read the?
Please. Yes.
Okay, so ordinance 2264, bond ordinance providing for various improvements to the township's communications infrastructure for the benefit of the township, the borough of Farmingdale, and the several fire districts within the township, appropriating $4,160,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,160,000 in bonds and notes to finance a portion of the cost thereof, authorized in and by the Township of Howell in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, and amending ordinance number O-2119.
I'd like to open up this portion for a public hearing on ordinance 22-64. Would anyone like to come up and speak? Okay. Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Caitlin, would you please just...
Yeah, as a
Thank
point
you.
of order, this is a bond ordinance, so we need 2/3 majority vote of council members. We do not have 2/3 majority here, so that vote can't happen. In addition to what I said earlier, we have an application in front of the local finance board, which is pending for tomorrow morning. We can't take action on this ordinance until the local finance board hears that application. Again, we've scheduled a special meeting via Zoom at 11 a.m. Friday, December 16th. That has already been published. There's links on the website for that meeting if you'd like to attend, but we will have to adjourn the portion of the vote to the special meeting.
With that said, Caitlin, do we need to make a motion to do so?
If you can make a motion.
Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn the vote until Friday, December 16th at 11 a.m. via Zoom?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
Second?
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Yes. Ordinance 0-22-66, Allison? I'm sorry. That's okay.
An ordinance amending Chapter 139 fees, Article Housing Code, Rental Property, subsection 29 and 29.1, entitled Certificates and Inspections, Return Checks, and Rental Housing Fees of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
I'd like to open a public hearing for ordinance 22-66. If anyone would like to come up to speak? Ms. Dixell? Yeah, would you just, yeah. Caitlin, thank you. That's okay.
Could you just explain that, a little bit further?
Sure. So the state passed a rule that says that we have to inspect all properties that are being rented and were constructed before 1978 for lead-based paint. We're looking for deteriorated paint, paint chips, things like that. It's a state requirement. So we did an ordinance last meeting to establish the need to do the inspections. This is increasing the fees because there is a significant amount of extra work that goes in. So we're increasing the fees for inspections about $75 for those properties that will need this inspection, 20 of which goes straight to the state. It goes into a lead fund, and the rest is for our administrative costs.
How do you go about inspecting or finding the homes in developments, senior developments that need to be inspected?
So this only applies to properties that are being rented and were constructed before 1978.
Well, there are properties that are rented, and the villages, my house was built in 69, 71. There are properties in both villages and Surrey Downs that are being rented. How do you go about finding that?
So within 3 years, so July 2024, the initial inspection will have to occur. In the meantime, if there is a change of tenancy or ownership, a new rental certificate will have to be applied for. The inspection will be done through that process. If we have not received a change of tenancy in that time, by July 2024, we're getting the information as to when the structures were built in our landlord registration process. We're going to be able to search our records, find the ones that haven't had an inspection, and make sure that we go out and require the inspection to be scheduled.
Can I ask you, council to reach out to the senior communities, Surrey Downs and the villages, and ask them for whatever they need to input into it to make it known to you people which homes need to be inspected.
We will do so.
Because that's the only way you're gonna, get the, private homes, yeah, around here, but when you get a community of 671 houses and over 400 houses in the other community, yeah, there are rentals, but if you don't reach out to them, they're not gonna know. Reach your management office.
I think Mr.
Understood.
Howard
Yep,
has a
we
pretty
will.
good handle on it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking
Yep.
because that's a constructive comment, not to be obnoxious or any cause trouble, but if you need to do that for people's safety, then you need to notify these developments.
My office has regular contact with the HOAs for those
Okay.
associations, and we do go back and forth with what properties are being rented so that everyone
All right.
knows that they're on the same page. So we'll be able to do that,
Yeah, because I for sure want everyone to be safe.
as do we.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on ordinance 22-66? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close? I'm sorry.
Motion to close public?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Allison, ordinance 0-22-72?
Oh, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor, would you like to, we can adopt this one this evening.
I'm sorry, yes. May I have, I'm sorry. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 22-66?
I'll make a motion to adopt O-22-66.
Second?
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Yes. Okay. Skip the step, huh? Okay. Ordinance 0-22-72, Allison?
An ordinance of the Township of Howell, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, creating Chapter 59 of the Township Code entitled All-Terrain Vehicles.
Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 22-72? Go ahead, Barbara.
Could you explain that, and do you plan to ban these things because they're dangerous? And what about these lithium batteries that explode and cause fires? What are your plans for all these things?
So this particular ordinance doesn't cover lithium batteries. It covers just the all-terrain vehicles. We've been getting complaints about them being on the road, so this gives the police a little bit more bite when it comes to enforcement. With regard to lithium batteries, we'll look into it. But for now, on the ATVs, we're looking to make sure that there's just a little bit more safety baked into the use.
Is it possible people could ban them in the township?
To ban the ATVs, probably not.
Can you give more information on the lithium batteries? As we know, there's been some pretty horrendous fires from these lithium battery bicycles that have caused many deaths. So is that possible to ban that?
We will look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else would like to speak? May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close?
May I have a second?
Second?
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 22-72?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance O-22-72.
Second?
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Yes. Ordinance 0-22-73?
An ordinance amending Chapter 188, Land Use, Attachment 2, Schedule 2, entitled Bulk and Dimensional Requirements, Residential and Non-Residential Zones of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
Would anyone like to speak on this ordinance? 22-73?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Just first, before I talk about the ordinance, I just want to say that I wish the outgoing council members well.
Thank
The new council members that are coming in, I wish you guys well as well. And Mr. Clark, I wish you well in your new position. As far as this ordinance is concerned,
Excuse me, please state your name for the record.
sorry, I apologize. Mark Parisi, 2 Castle Court. So I like what we're doing here, but I do have just some concerns. I feel like we could be doing more. And I'll go back to the May 5th Planning Board meeting. Mr. Howard probably remembers when they were adopting the land use ordinance, the land use element, excuse me. We talked about some of the bulk dimensions, and I had asked the question about whether or not why our bulk dimensions don't have a building lot coverage limitation as well as a floor area ratio limitation, specifically in the SED zones where we have warehousing. And I asked Mr. Howard, if we had ever had any building lot coverage limitation or floor area limitation. And he said, as far as he knows, we've never had. And in talking with Ms. Beam, she had also mentioned that she thought it was a good idea that maybe we have these types of limitations. And as we all know, I mean, there's a lot of, public concern about the mega warehouses. And let me just be clear, I'm not against warehouses, I'm for progress, but some of these buildings that are 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 square feet are obviously very large structures. And when I looked at some of the ordinances in other towns, specifically in Monmouth County, there are other towns that have ordinances that have or bulk dimensional limitations on the footprint of these buildings. So like, for people that maybe are listening, they're like, what does he mean building lot coverage? I mean, like if you have a residential lot, there's a limit on the size of the footprint of the building that you can put on your lot, depending on what type of lot it is. Well, the same thing applies for, the SCD zone and other zones. There's a limit on the size of the footprint of the building. And I know that, you're taking up this ordinance here tonight. I just wish that this ordinance also included some building lot coverage limitations to limit the size of these warehouse structures in the SCD zone. And it's my understanding that this could be done. If obviously the ordinance was introduced and it's going to probably be adopted tonight, but I know that, with the incoming council members that, you had campaigned that in the first 100 days that you were going to look at some of the zoning ordinances. And this is just something that I would suggest that maybe you look at, since, coming up next year, there's a lot of applications before the planning board for some very large warehouses. And, you obviously, if you watch the meetings, the public sentiment against some of these warehouses is very strong, that we consider maybe trying to put some limitations on the size of these structures going forward.
So I do remember that conversation back from May and the summer, because you asked a very similar question when the ordinances were being passed. And your concern, as you've said, is the warehouse development, right? The large-scale buildings, that's what we're seeing. And none of the ordinances we passed this summer impact the development applications that are at the board now. Most of those came in before the ordinances were passed. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, we didn't take a mallet to the ordinance and create hundreds of nonconformities. Without having a floor area ratio standard or building coverage standard for the last 50 years, there's no way to impose a meaningful standard that's going to actually control development at this point without creating dozens, if not hundreds, of nonconformities. You're not supposed to pass ordinances that create nonconformities because they're just contradictory to what you're trying to accomplish with your zoning. It's supposed to be complementary and it's supposed to work with the existing zoning, not directly against it. What we did do, all the way from the master plan hearing into the ordinances, and all this ordinance does is creates a summary table for our code book that summarizes what we passed in the summer for the ordinances. So right, it doesn't have a building coverage standard, it doesn't have a floor area ratio standard, but what it does have is, not in this ordinance, the other ordinances included and moved warehousing distribution centers to a conditional use. Within the conditional use ordinance, we put very strict limits and on the growth and the size of these buildings going forward. One example is maximum, not minimum, maximum lot size of 10 acres. It's going to limit the amount of square footage available on a site for a building when you add in all the other things that are needed, like parking lots and stormwater basins. The other thing was we put in a 30% building coverage for all areas outside of environmental restrictions. So if you have a 10-acre lot and 5 acres happens to be wetlands and riparian buffers, you have 5 acres developable, you're only allowed to put building over 30% of that. So that is a enormous restriction on the size of the buildings. And those ordinances going forward, do apply. So we have addressed those large buildings, those oversized buildings going forward in our code book.
But what about the existing SED zone? It's just a 70% impervious, right?
The existing SED zone that really doesn't exist.
Obsolete because
Other
there's very
than,
few.
there's a few properties in an existing SED zone. Almost everything was rezoned to SED1 and SED2, and those uses were put in the conditional use standard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this ordinance? Seeing none, I take a motion to close.
Make a motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 22-73?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance O-22-73.
Second.
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Yes. Ordinance 0-22-74.
An ordinance authorizing the lease of Block 178, Lot 22.07, owned by the Township of Howell, to Twin Pond Farm LLC for agricultural or horticultural use in accordance with NJSA 40A:12-14.1.
I'll open up public hearing on ordinance 22-74. Barbara?
Can you tell me where this is? Is it on the farm side on 524? Is it where the store is on the farm?
This is on 524 across from the school. So this was the open space parcel donated to us by Toll Brothers for the Monmouth Chase subdivision on Fairfield Road. So this is the farm piece across Fairfield Road. It also comes out to 524.
Because they do have the farm stand, and they grow stuff, there. That's that, or it's further?
There's a private farm next door, but this is the entire farm piece that has the basin on 524. It's the farm behind it. There's a few houses on Fairfield Road that it's behind.
So the one that goes further down behind it? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I would like a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 22-74?
Motion to adopt 2274?
Second?
Roll call, Councilwoman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond?
Yes. So there are no introductions of ordinances at this time. Meeting dates, as Caitlin had, what, did you say something?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that's okay. Meeting dates, as Caitlin had mentioned, we're having a special Zoom meeting virtually, 11 a.m. on Friday. That's the 16th. It's already been noticed, so that's already out there. The 2023 reorganization meeting is scheduled for Monday, January 2nd, 2023, 5 p.m. here. That's when the new council members will be sworn in. Hope you can join us. The next regularly scheduled council meeting will take place on Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. Executive session at 6, regular session at 7. Anyone have anything else to add before we adjourn? I wish everyone a very happy and healthy Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and thank you again for everything. Appreciate it.
Stay safe, folks, and enjoy your holidays.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Get home safe. Good night.